Hi guys, welcome to Live at 5. Essentially, we're going to play with our friend Superman today. Although, let's give a chance for to people to tune in. So let's go play the vault while we wait. For those who may be wondering, I do have a few other videos on the side. Oh yeah, I forgot. Give me a second. There, that's better. Hi, Dragon. Glad to see you today. So today we're going to play with our friend Superman. So essentially, I've been experimenting a bit with the firepower. One of the issue I had is that I was trying to figure out how to more or less properly use the advanced mechanics. Essentially, with certain advanced mechanics like quantum or mental or gadget, I can pretty much use powers indefinitely. I can regenerate my power so much that I can spam powers as much as I want. So essentially, I'm going to switch armories today, and we're going to use our official armory, our official DPS armory. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's what it appears like, isn't it? Essentially, I tried to make the Red Sun Superman, but I thought to be Red Sun Superman, it would have to be more like this. Or actually, even more with more like this, actually. This would be a bit closer to a Red Sun Superman. But with the stalwart defender style, I thought this looked a little. Also, I have my. I'll show my other armories later. Oh, thank you, Emmerich Zoo. But ironically enough, yeah, it sort of kind of looks almost like Zod and some incarnation of the comics. I guess this it looks even more like Zod, which is probably why I thought this looked good. But today we're going to go with this armory, and essentially, let me show you the loadout we're going to use. So essentially, I played with the loadout quite a bit in order to be able to find something that would allow me to spam powers and regenerate my power. I don't have the Kryptonian trinket with this character. I have it with one or two other characters. I didn't get the Kryptonian trinket all that much. The symbol you get from, well, you cannot get it anymore. Essentially, I got it from the marketplace. There was the Batman versus Superman swag bag at some point, where you could purchase a swag bag that had the Superman emblem, the Batman emblem, and the Wonder Woman emblem. Sadly, those were on the marketplace only for about a month, so you cannot purchase them anymore. We don't know if they're going to make a comeback. Although seeing how they added the Wonder Woman emblem not too long ago, we can expect that they'll probably add some Superman and Batman emblem in the future. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. So essentially, what starts the advanced mechanic with this little fella is burning determination. There's also Fury Weapon, although I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that one or not. I'm gonna have to play around with it a bit more. Then we go with Flame Cascade, Mass Detonation, Fire Burst, and Inferno. There's a few things I don't like quite as much with this loadout. Like Fire Burst has a really long casting time, so you can get pretty easily interrupted. Ideally, you would start the essentially you would start the rotation with the Burning Determination, Fiery Weapon, Flame Cascade, Mass Detonation, Fire Burst, Inferno, and then you would have to cycle through Flame Cascade, Mass Detonation. Sorry about that, guys. The recording crashed, so let's hope it won't crash again. Essentially, I'm just waiting around to see if all is good or if we're going to crash again. Okay. Sadly, that's one of the challenges of trying to do a regular broadcast is that sometimes there are circumstances that really makes it impossible to do a live broadcast at a set time. Sometimes either the broadcast will crash or sometimes DC Universe Online will be down. I guess, sorry guys, the broadcast crashed. I'm not sure why. So essentially, we're going to play with our friend Superman, hi Garth, and we're going to experiment with the fire powers. So it took me a few some trial and error to try to find a loadout that would allow me to essentially use powers as much as I wanted.
Jacob's techniques are vile. His disciples are
The problem I had is that essentially I would run out of power even using the advanced mechanics because I hadn't figured out not necessarily the power to use, but the order in which to use them, if it makes any sense. Although in some cases I had to switch out a few powers here and there. But after a while I managed to find something that kind of worked. So let's just see. So let's start with well, let's pull back a bit. And of course, there's also the awesome weapon masteries that I can use with these characters. There was no real reason not to have a weapon mastery with this little guy. So let's get started. So essentially you start with Burning Determination. Then you use your buff, and then you can cycle through your other powers. The little guy was down, but I wanted to just finish my rotation so that you would see the whole thing. Let's try again. You see, this one has a pretty long casting time, so in some cases you may decide to skip it. If you're in a hurry or if you're pretty sure you're going to get interrupted, it would be a good idea not to cast it. It's a bit fishy because essentially enemies die pretty quick here, but it'll make more sense in a few minutes. And essentially, I know that some people are suggesting other loadouts. This is really not the loadout that people are suggesting to use. I've seen a lot of players who suggest very different loadouts to use with fire. I can sort of understand why. But usually with those loadouts, you're pretty much dependent on on having a good, a strong controller.
Creatures of lust.
If you don't have a controller, a good controller that will keep up with giving you power, you're going to run out of power pretty quick, and then all you're going to be using is your weapon masteries. And I usually like to have characters that are more or less self-sufficient. That way you're not at the mercy of other players. Is she following us? I guess not.
By disrupting those rituals, you've spared a lot of innocent people.
And also, you saw there's some weird shield that appears once in a while. Essentially, what I did was I added the absorption adapter 5. Usually, I'll go with the damage adapter. But for this one, seeing out essentially the role of this character when I switch to the role, it's a tank. I thought he could use some extra protection once in a while. So I decided I never tried that mod, so maybe I'll try that mod and decide. The other stream crashed after a few minutes. It's not because I stopped. The thing crashed. It happens once in a while. And to answer Dragon's question, yeah, it would be nice if they add a Superman and Batman logo again at some point for those who missed out on the swag bag. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what they do with that. So essentially, with this little guy, I decided to give a try to the absorption adapter. Not something I usually use, but in this case, I thought it'd be a good idea. I kept the fortified blocking mod. Being a tank, blocking will probably be useful once in a while. Oh, I forgot a bike socket. No, I'm so sad. And I decided to give a try to reserve tank. Essentially, it increases my power pool by 25%. Although it doesn't seem as useful as it could have been, but it'll work well enough. I went with a deadly block for the boots, and I kept the max damage for the hands. And that's pretty much how I went. Hi guys, sadly, sorry the recording crashed again, so we're going to give this one more go. If it crashes again, we'll have to postpone this until tomorrow. Okay, so it seems to work, I guess. Okay, so essentially, let's go through our loadout one more time for. Hi there, sorry about that. The recording crashed again. Hopefully, it won't crash again. If it crashes again, we'll do that some other time. So let's go through our loadout quickly again. So the whole loadout is Flame Cascade, Mass Detonation, Fire Burst, Inferno, Burning Determination, and Fiery Weapons. So we start with Burning Determination. What it does essentially is that it activates Vitality and Thermal Absorption. That's the thing we want to have to be able to start our advanced mechanic. And also, it inflicts burning to cause damage over time, which is always nice. And also, there's a few power interactions when there's burning enemies. And also, we have our fiery weapon, and you'll notice that striking a burning enemy may deal damage and provide a healing effect. Which, if we start once we start burning determination, ideally enemies should be burning, so it shouldn't interact with the fiery weapon. And also, the thermal absorption will restore power while we have volatility. Sorry about that, which we will have thanks to burning determination. Then there's flame cascade. Essentially, it also activates Vitality if we need to. Like, we could start, we can either start with Burning Determination, or we can start with a Flame Cascade to activate the Volatility, sorry. And also, But if it's used against burning enemies, it will increase the damage they take, which is why if we start with Burning Determination, we will inflict burning to enemies. And so once we reach Flame Cascade, uh, enemies will already be burning, so they should get more damage. Also, the Flame Cascade will restore power thanks to the thermal absorption. Or while we have vitality, or while we attack burning enemies. And also, it extends the duration of burning, volatility, and thermal absorption. Yeah, it crashed again, Dragoon. Sorry about that. Yeah, in Rikuzu, the double XP is essentially it's designed to push you to endgame content as quickly as possible. It's a neat idea, I suppose, but once your character is already level 30, that's where you realize that XP no longer matter. So it seemed like a good idea, but it not really, and it doesn't really matter if you have double XP or not. You're going to reach a level 30 soon enough. But sadly the goal of the game for at least a bit has been to push players to endgame content as quickly as possible, which has a lot of drawback that I won't get into. Otherwise, we'll spend the whole video talking about that. So essentially, once we used Flame Cascade, we'll go with Mass Detonation, which also has increased damage if you have volatility, and it will also restore power, and also it will extend the duration of the burning effect, volatility, and all that stuff. And the same with Fire Burst. And by the time we reach Inferno, it should do a whole bunch of things. I'm sure if you want Garth, I don't have an issue with that. Well, in Murizu, you can still go back and do all the missions before level 30. Once you reach level 30, you can always go back. There's no there's a lot of missions that you can only do once, but once you reach level 30, you can still do those missions at least once. And there are missions that you can repeat as much as you like. Like there are missions. I'll probably show it a bit later. But there are missions in the open world that there are missions that you have access through the open world if you want to, and you can repeat those missions even if you're way past level 30. Sometimes you will want to repeat those missions because you're farming for a style. For example, I did a video about farming the flash boots or even farming the Catwoman cape. These are those type of mission. Essentially, it's missions that you do on your way to level 30. And once you reach level 30, you can still go back and do those missions. And the main reason to go back is to farm for certain items that you didn't quite get. So I'm going to enter the Tunnel of Lost by myself, like a big boy. Yeah, it crashed twice. Hopefully this time will be good. We'll have to wait and see. If it crashes again, I'm sorry guys, we're gonna have to do that tomorrow. But so far, knock on wood, we seem to be okay. So normally we should be two guys, but I think I'll be fine with my Uber Superman. So let's get started. So I can start the rotation pretty much like this. And as you saw, I skipped the fiery weapons. And essentially, you can see the cooldown for Inferno is pretty long. So essentially once pretty much all my powers are on cooldown, I'll only use the three to the far left of the loadout. So I'll cycle through those until the cooldown of my other powers is done. Not sure why there is a slight delay sometimes to try to activate the firebomb. So sometimes I have to press the button 2 or 3 times to try and activate it for reasons. It's probably that I'm still in the animation for a Flaming Cascade and I just don't realize it. Could be something as simple as that. So as you can see, we can pretty much regenerate our power pretty much as we go on. Oh. Oh, Wally doesn't have a make. It's okay, Flash. Today we've been experiencing crashes, so I will wait for our friend Wally West to join me in the mission. I'll clear out some of the tunnels while we wait for Wally. So essentially, Wally, I'm in the tunnel of Lust. So if you're So as you see, I've used essentially my rotation backward in the wrong order, and I pretty much burned through my power pretty quick, as you saw. I would guess that our friend Wally, when he created his character, I ran out of patience at some point trying to find a cool name, seeing the 53 Fs at the end of his name, which is understandable. There's characters sometimes that you spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours trying to come up with a freaking name, and still it didn't work. Sure, Dasher, I can give you a shout out. Dasher Wind, my friend. So while we wait for our friend Wally, let's see if I have some junk that I should get rid of. I got an Urgent Warfront mod. I don't recall the last time I saw one of those, so I was really happy and surprised at the same time. So we're going to